All right, and Bob Lobel is here.
Wow.
Yeah. There's your life.
That was a little ominous.
Yeah.
The whole chopping block thing.
It is.
But some of those memories were amazing. And then seeing Joyce, and just reminds me, my nickname for her in the newsroom was Killer. I always called her Killer Klahewick, but she's great. She's such a professional.
Coincidental. We found that little clip of her talking about how much she loves her job because it's so obvious.
She was the best, I'm telling you. And I've told her that many times. Yeah. So, you know, I'm sad for her.
Really. And everybody. Bob, tell us how this came down. How did they tell you? How did you react? How did the newsroom react? Well,
you know what? There were a lot of people that were not contract people like myself and Joyce and Scott that were laid off. And I think those are the ones that, you know, your heart goes out to them. Let's go through the whole, you know, okay, this is a business.
You're on a contract, though, yeah.
Right. You know, I knew this was coming.
You did.
Yeah, almost over a year ago. You know, you can't hang around a newsroom for 25, 30 years and not feel the vibes and know. So I knew this was coming. I had various conversations and, you know, people that, you know, were in the know. And I just didn't know when or how. So it's okay. You know, it wasn't like a total surprise.
Did they literally just come and tap you on the shoulder and said, see me in my office?
Well, yeah, it was kind of similar to that. But it was in the context of what happened on Monday. So everybody was on edge, you know. So poor Dave Hatcher, our assistant news director, he was the one that had to tap him. Oh. So I called him the Grim Reaper. I said, Hatcher, just stay away from me. Just go away. Don't come in my office. So it was, you know, you kind of have this gallows humor.
Do they offer any, do they say you could stay on if, or they just say, look, we want to buy a contract, we're negotiating with your agent, and your last day is bang? Is that it?
Well, you know, Em, a lot of that stuff I can't talk about because it was in the context of my conversations with the general manager, news director, and the agent. But, yeah, a lot of that stuff has to be resolved. There is no, like, I know Jessica Heslam of the Herald wrote the article, and she asked me 4 times, when's your last day? And I said, well, Jessica, I don't know, but if I did, there won't be a last day. I'm not going to look in that camera and say, thank you, I hope I've enjoyed it, I hope you have.
Good for
Goodbye.
You. I'm moving on to other opportunities.
I'm not doing that. I can't do that. I won't do that because I'm not going to do the Brett Favre thing and cry. I just am not going to do that. But so I just guess won't show up. It's not that I don't appreciate what I had or the relationship I had outside of that machine. You know, you look into that machine and you have a relationship somewhere out there, as you know, Natalie could get through it, Liz could get through that machine, and so you go into that and have a relationship with people through whatever that machine is. But it's not that I don't appreciate that and revere that and respect that, but I'm not going to sit here and say thank you and then I'll see you.
What is this all about? Is it, at this point, they're saying, people like you make good salaries. A lot of other people in the market still do, but some of them don't, they're not there anymore. Is it about the relationship between value and ratings? They say, you know what? They're not bringing enough. Right. We saw the cuts across the country this week at CBS.
Right.
Diane Burns in Chicago.
Unbelievable.
Harold Green in L.A. These are names that have been around the market 30 and 40 years. It was like there was a sweep across the nation this week. Is it about the bottom line and the numbers because of the diversity of the cable spectrum and all that? We're just, people aren't bringing in there. And is there a loyalty anymore?
Well, here's the deal. You, a former news director, might be able to answer that better than I can. But I think it's a combination of things. And I understand, and I don't embrace them all because a lot of it's personal. But I understand. One, yeah, there is salary issues involved, okay? Number 2, I think there's retooling. Instead of, you're taking your Saab factory and you're making it into a Kia factory. You're just retooling, and you're reinvigorating your station with younger.
It's about age.
I think a lot of it's about age. I think a lot of it's about salary. I think a lot of it's about retooling. Sometimes the research, I think you can do research, but if you do research, you got to do homework. And in Boston, you can get all the research you want, but you also have to do homework. Now, I'm not saying that wasn't done, but I'm just saying I think all those factors are in play. And you know what? I get it. And I think Joyce gets it and Scott gets it and anybody that's been around long. And you, I think, wouldn't you say that's true?
You know, but I've been out of the local news business part of it for a long time. And when I was in the part of the business, we knew what brought the viewers into the tent. And a lot of what brought the viewers into the tent was the pairings of the anchor team, the chemistry on air. So the big four people who held those big chairs on the 6 and 11 back then, and it's not that way anymore. It's now the morning show is off.
Well, you know what? There are more tents.
It was a lot more tense.
A lot more tense.
But we counted on people who tuned in to Channel 5, where I was, or Channel 4, to be there the next morning because they liked those people.
Yeah.
There has been a movement, obviously, since I left that, to just have it be the station that people tune in, the fast moving, the pacing, the frenetic, whatever it is. It's the channel, not
I think true. I think that's all about branding. I mean, Jack Williams is branded, Joyce branded, Liz was branded, Natalie was branded, Chet was branded, Lynch is branded, Lobel's branded. They were all branded commodities in this market. And so I think at some level somebody said, well, you know, these people are going to be gone, so we need to have a more consistent brand, and that would be the station. Does that make sense?
Or generic.
Generic. So the branding, there's no more branding. No one will ever be branded like Liz,
the anchor teams,
Jack, or the anchor teams. The branding's over. The dinosaurs. I get hurt. Andy Hiller called me. He said, from one dinosaur to the next, you know. So we're all dinosaurs. Myself, Jack, you know, Joyce. Liz. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just we're the last. I know this sounds self-aggrandizing. It's not, but just the last of a breed.
It is.
And it's over.
But what changed? Is there a lack of viewership? Is there a lack of viewer loyalty? It used to be that BZ viewers were BZ viewers. You know that. Same with Channel 5. They were Channel 5 viewers. Now, what happened to the loyalty?
Well, I can tell you what changed in sports, okay? You know, other than the 6 and 11, there was the 5, the 5:30, the 4, the 4:30, and then the 11, okay? That's one thing that changed. ESPN, which now runs the world, has changed the whole landscape of sports. So, you know, that has narrowed the playing field on the local level. So I can tell you that's what's changed in sports. So to bring something to the table in sports, I think you had to have a little personality. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, and something different. So that's what's changed. Weather hasn't changed.
No.
You know, weather's like